Okay, so today I want to talk about two sort of key elements that are new that we want to be doing across the entire club. So I wanted to just outline a little bit of it so that we can all sort of see, discuss, have some feedback, share some ideas, some thoughts, etc., etc. So one thing is building from the back, and the other is the back four. And of course, principles here can apply to a back three for the younger teams, 77, 99, whatever. So we'll start with building from the back. So the first thing is getting the starting positions correct. That's a big deal because it really makes the options obvious and it really relieves a lot of pressure off the players. So for me, I always prefer the keeper to begin with the ball at the center of the six, so no one's quite sure which direction that we're going. Just inside the corner of the penalty area should be the two center backs. We'll start with this is 11v11. This example. So center back's corner of the penalty area. Your outside back should be up into the next level, basically the midfield level, all the way on the sidelines. Okay. One holding mid, your six, the true holding mid, sits here. Okay. Just to create obvious lanes, and also in case we lose the ball and there's a quick transition here, these three can come together very quickly. And those first few seconds where the center backs may need to tuck in and help the six, at least a six is there in that starting position, hopefully buying a moment of time for us to recover again in transition. So your eight can move up, joining your 10, who can move to one direction. Notice these two players, the spacing between them is good, and they're filling the lane created by the 6 and the 4 and 5 center backs. Okay, attacking mid is here. Your center forward, stay nice and high. That's so that if anything skips through or something gets flicked on, possibly, they can run on to the end of it and put that back line under a little bit of pressure. Almost as importantly, what it does is it leaves this space. It really leaves this space for these two and eventually the six to come up and join. But you let these guys play in here by taking some people away. And then winger can be slightly pinched in. This depends on the quality of your goalkeeper and their service. So if they can hit a ball really long, you might be able to bump it into a different position. If they're younger, you may need this player to check, but we'll get to that here momentarily. So the key thing here is that the players understand that these are the starting positions, that they don't just get to this point and then just stay put, because that's not going to be very helpful. So let's get one on here. Starting positions / shape. Okay. And then we need to create or play into space. Okay. And now this is where we will start to introduce an opponent. So lots of times I'll tell players, the first goal kick, take it short, take it quick, see if we can catch them off guard. Lots of teams will react and they'll make an adjustment. And depending on what they do, there's a counter adjustment for us to make. So let's just say, get I need a pen that works. Okay. So let's just say center backs are there, outside backs are tucked in. Okay. Maybe they're sat like so, just really, really tucked. Okay. Now, that's pretty extreme. I mean, their wingers are within the width of the penalty area, so 44 yards. That could be bumped out. Obviously, it can vary quite a bit. So the key here is just reacting off what they do. So the decision-making piece from the goalkeeper is very, very, very important. It's also important that we make a good decision so that we can take advantage of the numbers that we have versus risk possession in a dangerous area unnecessarily. So I think a few things here to focus on. Okay, one is that right out of the gate, you have a diamond here with help nearby that can sort of break the initial line of pressure. So if these three, if we play it short here, and these three come bombing forward, well, then the option is always to bypass pressure, break pressure, and play into the next level or the next line. I talk about that with my kids a lot. We call that, and it's sort of the whole point of this, playing through your lines. Okay, and that's the goalkeeper has a line, defense has a line, midfield line, attacking line. One of the big mistakes that people will make when playing short, especially right out of the gate, is they get super nervous to turn or open up or anything like that. And so what happens is they end up, maybe that one comes off, this player comes to put pressure on, ball gets played there, they change direction, and then this person panics and plays the ball back. And now the game is getting very, very small, and we're doing it a little bit to ourselves. This would be like a 20 by 20 box, and now we're at risk of losing it. So to avoid the game getting really small like that, something that is so crucial is that this player and all the wide players, really just about everybody, is side on to the ball. Now they can check their shoulders, and if it's on to go upfield, this player could receive it with their right foot and can go. If it's not on and maybe the pressure comes from here, well, then they receive it with their near foot, their left foot, and they play the way that they face. Obviously, that would go back here, or wherever. So the body shape, if you don't address the body shape and you don't have kids showing for the ball side on, odds are they're either going to get trapped by playing short to back and forth, or they're going to turn blindly into pressure and lose the ball again in a very, very dangerous part of the field. So we don't want that. Okay, that will usually work the first time or two. And then what can oftentimes happen is they make an adjustment because they think there's going to be an easy goal here, at least a chance, with you playing short. So they start to cheat. So now, let's put my players back. Okay. So now, if they're a little too excited, they may do something like this. Like that. There, and there. So what we like about this is that they have prioritized now this wide space, and in order to put some pressure on, so let's get rid of the starting positions. So now in order to get to those spots, they had to leave these central parts of the field. That's a good thing. Okay? The goal is in the middle of the field. If they want to come out and put pressure and take away that option, he's not scoring on anybody. Wonderful. So this is where the play through your lines phrase is so huge. Okay? And also, after we've played maybe 1, 2, 3 times short and quick out of the back, and they start to bump up, now it's about reacting to what they're doing. So if he starts, once they bump up and the quick, easy ones are no longer available, their job now is to start from here and start working their way back. So the obvious option would be here. Take that away. Again, part of your spacing. So you've got a little gate right there. So if they're looking to play through their lines, that's the ball that we can play through this gate. And this is the line of pressure that we broke. So once we break this pressure and we're in there, then obviously the game changes. This player should be working to possibly get around, go and join, maybe some movement in there, and maybe we dribble here to open options up. We're obviously looking at attacking that space with our right back or our center forward. This player could cut in behind, and that's if, this guy has that much time. If they don't have that much time, then you need to show and just support the ball versus try and run through onto the end of something. So super basic there. If they start to cheat, break that pressure, play forward, play through your lines, and let's get forward. And I think really that's the biggest message that the players have to understand, is that we're not playing it short or trying to build from the back just because we think it's cool or it's in style right now, which it certainly is. It's because in the back, we have the best numerical advantage. And that means that gives us the best platform to build from. And if we are clever and we pick and choose the right moments to go forward, oftentimes when we commit bodies forward, we're doing it numbers up. And when you get good at it, players will be able to use this platform of the 5 in the back, because we always include the goalkeeper, plus these, at least this one. So you've really got 6v3 here. So if we can't keep possession 6v3, we got bigger problems. And by forcing or implementing these ideas of playing it short and doing these things and how to move off each other and all these angles and triangles, it's practice. And the kids will get better at it. But there are no good teams in youth soccer, professional soccer, anywhere in the world that are a good quality team that can't build 6v3 out of the back. And that's if they play with the front 3. Some teams will play with 2 or even 1, depending on what system they play. So again, it's not an overly defensive thing. It's not something that we're doing just because we think it's neat. It is so that we are more efficient and consistent when we go forward. So we start where we are, numbers up, the most numbers up. Okay, the last piece is, and this is something that kids really struggle with, and this is something that you can do in, a 4v4 game. It works really well, where, and maybe we've got some neutrals, so let's pretend we're doing a little game here in training. So let's say that we've got 4. Okay, against 4, I don't need to put the defenders in there. What's great about 4v4 is it's the fewest number of players that you can have and still have all of the components of the larger full-size game. You have your width, your height, and your depth. And that's, ultimately that's the game. If they can handle 4v4 and they know how to move and work off of each other and how to obviously maintain possession of the ball under some pressure, you're going to be okay for the most part. So 4v4 is huge. Now, if you want to use the goalkeeper option, you want to reinforce that to your players that there's oftentimes a support, a drop who can change the point of attack. Feel free, put a neutral here. I would let the neutral move so that that one neutral sort of acts like two, or the other example I'll do up here, you could do two. Either will work, either is fine. So typically what I do there is this neutral is going that way, and then we would either have one or two goals. So let's just pretend, well, let's do it like this. So let's pretend that we're using two neutrals and we're going to one central goal. Okay, so the big things here are the movement, because when this player has a ball, let's say the neutral has it, or our right center back, that's your 6, that's your 8, that's your 10, and that's your striker. So even relating small little activities to the bigger game really helps paint that picture for kids, because lots of kids just think that they're doing 4v4 and it's a fun little activity that we came up with. But if you can connect it to the soccer game, it's really gonna hit home, usually pregame, at halftime, or something, when you're talking about the principles. And that is like a huge concept. Principles are not as strict as rules. They're strong recommendations. And they are what tends to work, what statistically works the most. I really try to avoid rules or being too set on exactly what I want done all the time or in every situation, because I don't want to, you don't want to limit creativity or experimentation, but at the same note, you also have to implement a larger structure that your team is operating within, a system of play. And I tend to tell kids, there are no superstars necessarily on the team. Good players will always do good things. The star of the team is the system of play, and everybody has to buy in and do their part. So getting a little off topic, but those are good side notes that really will turn on some light bulbs with kids. So with the 4v4, if this player has the ball, let's add a little pressure here. Okay, so the key is movement and space recognition. Okay, so if this player has the ball, the biggest thing that the kids must get, and I'm going to add a little 4v4 section. The important part for kids to get is understanding and appreciating that they don't have to be wide open for us to give them the ball. Okay? It has to do with where the defender is and their body shape. But in this scenario, every single one of those players can receive a ball from the neutral. Okay? Now, of course, we might prefer that this player get it over that player, and prioritizing their decisions is obviously a very, very important component of this player's decision making. So really what it is just recognizing that these, again, because of their correct spacing, that is the space that they have created. Now, a big mistake players make is when you point that out, the next time the ball comes to this player, instead of starting here out wide, this guy does that instead. But he just is standing. Okay? So the key here is recognizing that no matter where I go, it opens up something else. Sometimes for me, so if they kind of, check into them and then check back. Okay, well then that player's showing into that space, which is great because it was by our spacing and our shape that that player created that pocket of space. And if they can time it, check away to create a yard, and then check back, that's wonderful. Okay, now the question is, what happens after that movement? And this is why I love 4v4s, because it paints this so well for kids. So this player has moved. Now, they're there, and the O is probably trying to recover on his trail, trying to stick with him. So we'll take them out of there. Well, now the space has changed. So now the available space that we're creating is there. So by moving here, there should be a couple movements off of this guy. Obviously, that's an option. And then if I'm him, I try and make it a bit bigger, a bit wider to clear, make sure that circle stays available. And it's just 1v1, because if I hang out too close, they may double. And now we're in trouble. And we're so close together that we're not actually helping each other. This is where, you see the ball get played in here. He's under pressure, plays the first obvious one he sees, and these two get pinned in this corner, and we lose the ball right in front of our goal. You see it all the time. The reality is that when he checks and he opens up, this is what happens. Okay. So, off of these two guys' movement, the two best options are to bypass and play into there, or this player now can do a little like counter movement. So maybe they check like they're going there, and then they can check in here. And that could possibly be option 2. So that gets a little bit messy, obviously, but it's really easy to just show, again, really small numbers. Make it a little bigger, a little easier to see this time. How one movement should stimulate the rest of the game. And that's why it really, once the first ball is played, if you're coaching from here and this player has the ball, well, the key is not necessarily looking at these players, but looking at what they're looking at. And are they identifying, here's all this space that we have created from these starting positions. Now, how do we move into it? And then once the ball starts moving, everything becomes fluid. Okay? So what I really like, and this is where it gets really fun, is the rules and the point system and all the things that you get to control in this type of game can really tweak what the challenges are for these kids. So, for example, let's go through all the different things that we could do. So this could be cones. You could do dribble through for a point. You could do shoot on goal. Okay, so that could be a bigger. This could be a bigger space, and that could be a medium-sized, larger goal, and you could have a keeper in there. Something that I like doing is they can dribble out of bounds, and then maybe there's a bonehead or something 10, 15 yards away, and they have to dribble out, finish within 2 touches inside of the foot. And then you play for 4 minutes, 3 minutes, and then it's laces, and then it's a little curling ball at the outside of the foot, and they're just striking it onto an empty bonehead. Now you're getting a 4v4 game and all that, and that's great. But if they break penetration over the line. Now they're working on some other technique that you want them to work on. If your team's not very good at striking the ball, then great. Have an open goal, or you can have not a bow net. You can have, I mean, a bow net's a little bit more for like a pass or something. It can be for a shot too if the players are good and it's not too far away. You could also put a medium goal up here or one of the small goals, and then the rule is the shot has to hit the net before the ground. And again, you can, after a certain number of points, change the technique. Inside the foot, laces, whatever. But all good ideas to get kids striking the ball or dribbling over a gate or whatever. Now, another game or version I've done of this, and I like this one a lot. It's slightly different. It's to encourage my center backs to be involved in creating the overload from the back line and transferring it into the midfield line. So, need the right color pen. So, usually what I'll do there is I'll have a gate and a gate. Typically dribble through, but like I was explaining here, there's about a million variations you can do for it. And so we'll have, on the outside of the gates, like neutrals like that. And then here we have, your line of extra guys. Okay. Oh yeah, the neutrals go away. So you just have an X here and an X there. They're still neutrals, but that's fine, just like that. So basically they play 4 against 4 in the grid. Dribble through to score. But they can use their drops at any point. Now, what I like to do is, and again, this can be a progression. You can start like this and then take it away. I usually set a cone back here, and then that's where the line starts so that people don't get in these guys' way. And then, so you can start with the X's can use their drops at any point, and these guys can play it to each other. Again, connecting this to the game, center back, 6, 8, 10, 9, striker. It's just a 4v4 with some neutrals, but we are directly connecting it to 11v11 soccer, and that should be mentioned in the explanation. So now they can drop the ball, and another huge principle is that these guys, when they receive a drop, what they're looking to always do is change the point of attack. So if it gets dropped from here, we don't want to put it right back to that guy necessarily. Usually, again, not a rule. There are times when that will work, but it's a principle. For the most part, we don't want it to go right back where it came from. So we want this player to change the point of attack and play through as many lines as they can. So if that ball comes here, that's the cue for maybe a little negative move, and then show, and then play through your lines and change the point of attack. Now we're very difficult to defend. Okay? Now, let's say that's not the case. That this player is, get my grid back together here. Okay, so let's say that the X is back here. The attacking team, he's got a guy on him. So let's say now, when he drops the ball, it's still to this player, but the biggest piece of available space is now in there. So a progression, or a good way to start is that this player can dribble on if it's on to do so. Now it's 5v4. Okay, again, you can switch it up if you want to keep it 4v4 and make it really tough, or you want to progress to it. Maybe when this player comes on, whoever gave them the ball has to come off. So now it gives them some time away from the defender, but at the end, it's still going to be 4v4. I also like to allow the center backs to dribble into midfield. Now they've created a numbers up, but once that player goes, they can no longer use their drops. So he or she has to be very selective of when they pick that moment to go, because they've got to have at least enough time to go join the game. And now can we use our numerical overload? Up to you if you want to allow, maybe they can drop it back, but then somebody has to leave the game. I mean, there's a million, again, rules and variations of this that you can do. Okay, but the focus should be on the spacing, the movement, and then the reactions to my teammates' movement. Where am I going? When they move here, what space does that now open up? Are the defenders going with them or no, or what? And that's really the game, is making decisions and thinking, critical thinking and decision making. I mean, that's what this game is about. It's not just about skill and technique. Those are just the tools. An artist is an artist in their mind. A player is a player in their mind. It's about decision making, the skills, the technique. That's just the paintbrush. Okay, so that's all for now. It's just touching on playing out of the back and some 4v4 stuff. Basically, I know the initial plan was to do some back four stuff, but I don't want the videos to be too long, so I'll tackle back four in a separate video. Feedback is great. If you want, if you can't see it very well, or if you want something done in more detail or something slightly different, or you just want to add your 2 cents or have your own thought and want to sort of challenge something, that just makes us all better. So that's all good. Always open to feedback.